In this video, we're going to talk about streaming rendering, a feature that is added to Blazor in .NET 8. Streaming rendering is a progressive enhancement made to static server rendering that improves the user experience of a web app. To understand this, let's first see how static server rendering works without streaming rendering turned on. Here, we have a browser that sends a request to the server. On the server, the request is routed to a Razor component. Now let's say the Razor component wants to perform a long-running asynchronous operation. This might be, for example, making a web API call or querying a database for data. Now in the usual static server rendering scenario, the entire operation must complete before the response can be generated and sent to the client browser. The browser then displays a web page with all the data. Now since the response is sent to the browser only after the long-running operation completes, it causes a significant delay in loading the page, leading to a poor user experience. Now let's see how static server rendering works with streaming rendering turned on. Now here again, the browser sends a request to the server. On the server, the request is routed to a Razor component. Now the Razor component may perform a long-running operation such as querying a database for data. And while that is happening, the page will be initially rendered to HTML with its layout and some placeholder, and that HTML will be added to the response and sent back to the browser. The browser then displays the web page with the placeholder. Now once the asynchronous operation completes on the server, the updated data will be streamed into the response. That is, the updated data will be sent to the client on the same response connection, and then on the client it will be patched into the DOM, and the UI is now updated with that data. The advantage here is that the main layout is rendered as quickly as possible and the page is updated as soon as the data is ready. This improves the user experience of the web app. Let's see this in action. For this demo, I have the Blazor New Features solution opened up, and inside app.razor, let me comment the Blazor Web App script or blazor.web.js like so. So this turns off any progressive enhancements such as enhanced navigation and form handling and streaming rendering as well. Now go to the weather component and scroll towards the bottom, and let's look at the logic for this page. First we have a weather forecast array that will initially be null. Then in the onInitialized async lifecycle method, we are simulating a long-running operation by calling await task.delay for half a second. Let's change it to 1000 milliseconds or 1 second. Until then, the forecasts variable will be null. And after that, we are populating the forecasts array with some data. If we scroll towards the top, we can see we are checking if forecasts is null, in which case we are showing a loading placeholder. And once the long-running operation that is simulated by task.delay is complete and data is available, we are displaying that data inside the else part here. Now if we run the application and navigate to the weather component, we see that it takes a second to load the entire page. This is because the page can be loaded only when the asynchronous operation completes. Now let's go to app.razor and uncomment the Blazor Web App script like so, and go to the weather component, and let's enable streaming rendering for this page by using this Razor directive at attribute stream rendering, passing in true. Now let's run the app and navigate to the weather component. We can see that initially the UI contains a loading placeholder, and once the asynchronous operation completes and data is available, the loading placeholder is replaced with the actual data and the page is updated. Next, we'll talk about the different render modes available in Blazor in .NET 8.